In record time, with no real opposition from an army which on paper was far stronger and far better equipped. The Taliban took over Afghanistan exactly 1 year ago. 20 years, billions of dollars spent, and thousands of lost lives ended up with Western leaders taken by surprise as the semi-military organization seized power again. They would have been somewhat less surprised had they spoken to their people on the ground.
I don't think there were any circumstances in which the Americans could have left and expected a different outcome to what happened. It was never going to work. Frankly, it was never going to work.
When the United States and its close allies invaded Afghanistan in 2001, shortly after 9/11, they had a clear image in mind: topple the Taliban regime and set up a local army, trained, funded and equipped by the West. It may be a good plan when trying to form an army in a Western nation, but no one seemed to ask if it would work in a place with such a different mentality.
The West tried to build an army in its own image, and that was a mistake from the beginning. We tried to turn them into a Western military, thinking that that would improve upon them. And not only were we incapable of making them do that, but it didn't play to their strengths whatsoever.
Robert Swift is an I-24 News journalist today who in the past served with the British Army in Afghanistan. Just one of the many stories he has from his service shows the major difference between the way the United States and its allies saw the Afghan army and how it actually was on the ground.
I was an intelligence soldier. It was my job to try and train the Afghans to do intelligence. First of all, many of the soldiers that I was working with were illiterate in their own language. So how could you expect them to do a modern Western-style intelligence sharing? And second of all, they had their own ideas of how to do intelligence, and they weren't remotely interested in our ways of doing it.
Things may have seemed to work for the Afghan security forces as long as the U.S. was present, but once President Joe Biden ordered his forces to leave and leave quickly, the battle with the Taliban was lost before it even began.
It was the decision of the U.S. to withdraw that undermined the morale of the Afghan security forces, so they weren't as good as we thought they were, and then you basically rip the carpet out from under their feet, so they've got low morale.
The consequences of the American pullout are well felt in Afghanistan, where human rights, women's rights and many others are once again gone, but the impact is felt not only there.
This is a message of weakness, and I think one of the immediate consequences we saw from that message of weakness was Putin's invasion of Ukraine. I'm pretty sure that that invasion was calculated on the basis of America's performance in Afghanistan, and not just America, but NATO as a whole.
More than anything, it feels as if so much effort was eventually useless.
Afghanistan's rapidly turning back into the country it was before 9/11, and the whole point of all the lives lost and the treasure spent in Afghanistan was to stop that happening. And we're back here because of our failures.
A year on, the Taliban's grip is as strong as ever. Don't expect any foreign power to come and move them.